On September 11, 2025, Bethan Hardison, activist, asked Yara Shahidi, activist, in a Forbes interview on how she felt about her world right now. Yara answered honestly by saying she is terrified and would like a plan to fix it. I empathize in that no one should live in fear. In my opinion, this sounds like a plea for help. I would like to help, but how? When Yara Shahidi was younger, she did an equality speech on October 19th, 2018 at the Gleason Respect Awards. I argue this speech is the hypothesis to fix her world and to reduce her fear. In April 2024, I published my book on Amazon based on this hypothesis, showing that prevention will lead to equity and that equity will lead to equality. This hypothesis will fix the political, economic, and social problems in her world and our world. This nonprofit, non-edited channel is a letter to Yara Shahidi in teaching Yara's hypothesis to the public and in order to better our world. In the end, Yara Shahidi will get the Nobel Peace Prize for her hypothesis. This is Dear Yara Shahidi. This is Chapter 19, Economic Equality, Part 3. So let's begin. Bankruptcy is a legal procedure by which those who are deeply weighted down by debt can get out from underneath that debt with a chance to start anew. Again, not everyone can just go through bankruptcy several times like it is a day at the beach. Bankruptcy will be scientifically reviewed process of a last-ditch effort to help people get out of debt in order to start over. Bankruptcy comes with consequences, like it will be on the person's credit report, and the person has to pay for business classes again to figure out what went wrong in their business ventures to hopefully not do it again. When people go into bankruptcy for their loans, medical debt, student loans, for future bankruptcies, credit card debt, etc., then they have the choice between Chapter 7 or Chapter 13 bankruptcy. Chapter 7 bankruptcy is where a person's debts are mostly wiped out. Also, the person is able to hold on to a few essential assets below a certain threshold, and the rest is sold to pay off the person's creditors. It takes a few months to complete, but the person gets a chance at a fresh start. Chapter 13 bankruptcy is different. This bankruptcy is more of a reorganization of debt. The person's finances are examined to work out how much they can afford to pay into a repayment plan for 3 to 5 years. If this person makes all the payments in that plan, then at the end of it, this person's debts are discharged. This bankruptcy does have its benefits because the person doesn't have to give up their assets like a home or a car. If the person misses one payment, then this person's bankruptcy case is dismissed and the whole deal is off. In the end, this person is back to square one. Usually bankruptcy goes to court and it can cost the person thousands of dollars to go into bankruptcy. With scientific evidence shown in front of a judge, then he or she or a non-binary person can see what has been happening throughout the history of the loan process for this person. This judge can decide for this person to go into bankruptcy without the expense of lawyers. This person will have to cover the cost of the courtroom, though. As with the economic strategist, the debt strategist will be recording. As with the economic strategist, the debt strategist will be recording every process and every encounter with their client in order to pay back the loan. If the client feels taken advantage of by the debt strategist, then the client's videos will be given to an ethical judge to decide fault. Just like with other ethical cases explained before, people have the right to defend themselves no matter what situation they're in. Once the debt has been paid back and businesses classes are all done, then this person can start new with an economic strategist and rebuild their credit to borrow again. Once the person has a good credit score again for a bank loan, then the hand-holding is officially over, and then this person is on their own. If people do fail, then they get a chance to start over. In the end, microloans are a tool to help people succeed in life, and it can only work when the borrower and the lender agree on the plan of execution to succeed. Even though bankruptcy and debt can be awful, the good news is that microloans are different. If a person is struggling with defaulting on a loan, then the economic strategist will offer short-term relief, especially to borrowers impacted by a crisis. Life happens, and this is why transparency and the recordings are necessary to ensure success. As long as everything is transparent, recorded, and well established with both parties, then defaulting on a microloan will be quite rare. Now, when a person starts a business with an idea and strives to make it happen with some capital, then the most important thing a student has to know is that their business might fail. In the US, there are 31.7 million businesses, and 20% of them will fail in the first year, while by the fifth year, 50% fail, and then after 10 years, 67% of small businesses fail. The most successful people in business have failed the most often. Have failed the most. For example, James Dyson made 5,162 prototypes before inventing the bagless vacuum cleaner, and it took 52 tries of software maker Rovio to get Angry Birds right. Plus, most businesses don't make any profit in their first year of business, and it takes 18 to 24 months to reach profitability. When the graduated student develops a plan with the economic strategist for a small business, then all of this will be common knowledge for both parties. This is why microloans are a long-term investment in the person over years, if needed, of hand-holding, so to speak, to get this person and their business to standards to where a bank will write this person a loan. After this, the hand-holding is over, and the economic strategist moves on to other clients, as stated before. This is the power of the microloans by getting the middle class and the poor class back to competitive strengths. This is the American economy where everyone can have a chance for success with whatever dream they want to pursue. This is capitalism at its finest. Many of the world's richest billionaires built their wealth from scratch. Many of these billionaires earned their first $1 million through the business they founded, while others earned it through investments or by working for someone else's company. The billionaires that started their own company started out with just an idea and some capital given to them from family, friends, or investors. Sirens. With microloans, not edited. With microloans being an established form of investment, now poor people and middle-class people will have the equity as a billionaire did when they started their dreams. In the end, the poor can compete against the rich through their ideas and microloans as their capital, just like a billionaire. The more people that use microloans, then the more the wealth gap will shrink and where everyone will be competitive on equal footing. This is Dr. King's dream for economic equality. God, it's just so good. So good. When it comes to automation, microloans can help. When companies turn automation to keep costs down to stay competitive in the global markets, then they have the right to do it because it is their company and they can do whatever they want with it. When people start their own businesses with microloans, they too can use automation to keep costs down to stay competitive in a global market if they see fit. Again, it is their company and they can do whatever they damn well please. Hopefully, if microloans create enough entrepreneurs, then the problems that automation has caused in the last 40 years will be erased. Microloans will give people the freedom to experiment, innovate, and adopt their own approaches to entrepreneurship. Then maybe it will help people find and restore meaning in their lives once again. When students are taught about microloans, they will also be taught about how economics can give a person happiness toward fulfillment, like in a relationship, and not toward the material, like becoming a billionaire. So simple. It is so simple. All this is so simple. God, this is the second established idea to help the middle class and the poor class to compete in the global market. For example, Americans today, according to scientists, want it all. Part of the American dream of today is that more is better, and that type of thinking usually applies to the material realm. Scientists have known for a while that this type of thinking toward the material doesn't work, and it doesn't make Americans happier. It's so true. God, it's so true. I mean, come on, it's so true. Scientists say Americans use their animal brain when it comes to money. Americans look at those around them. God, this is so true. My friends are doing it. I need to do it. Oh! This is why Americans compare themselves with others. This type of comparison thinking comes in the form of houses, cars, clothes, jewelry, and material possessions. When a peacock fluffs their feathers, or a lion flaunts their mane to display dominance in the animal kingdom, then humans flaunt their material possessions. Look at my shoes. Look at my dress. Look at my watch. Then humans flaunt their material possessions to display their dominance in the human kingdom, so to speak. This type of comparison thinking makes no sense from what scientists say. The animal brain tells Americans to think in terms of survival of the fittest by displaying their material items to indicate to others that the owner of the items has wealth, power, and some kind of higher social status, just like a peacock or lion in the wild. So cool. A section of the American population that really pushes toward the material are college students. The math shows that 94% of college students nationwide are stressed and overwhelmed. They are also paying a high price for this pressure of high expectations of wanting it all when they graduate. These high expectations last into old age of wanting a bigger house, fancier car, nicer jewelry. When the high expectations are met in getting the best stuff, then there's always someone with even more stuff who's just as unhappy. So, God, it's just so, when you see it, it's just so, you just can't unsee it anymore. Scientists say the number one predictor of happiness and well-being are close relationships, friendships, and family relationships. Scientists say the unhappiest zip codes in America are the wealthiest, like the Upper East Side of New York, or Beverly Hills, or, the Hamptons. Now, to be fair, if a person is poor and is stressed about money all the time, then they are unhappy and can have mental and physical issues from poverty. In order to be happy, a person has to find the sweet spot in where they do not have to stress about money anymore and work on themselves by developing a hobby. You don't say. Once a person achieves a certain amount of income relative to their location in life, then their happiness goes up. The wanting more is not necessary of the material, but the wanting more is more with family and friends. If this comes into fruition for an individual, then they will have a long life of happiness. No way. Scientists say that one of the best predictors of well-being, better than that of affluence, are people with realistic expectations. They are happier. For example, the people of Denmark, which is one of the happiest places on earth to live, see themselves as a success by wanting to be happy and have a lot of time with their family. They see money is not that important to them. They do not want to be stressed. They want to be passionate about what they are doing and do not care if the job pays them a lot of money. The people of Denmark are making enough money and do not necessarily want to be rich. Shocking. They have ambition and hope for the best for their life to be a success in an area of their choosing for work, but they do not get so disappointed when it doesn't come true. Another thing needed to be taught with microloans about how economics can give a person happiness toward fulfillment is moving back to small cities and towns. God, this is so good. Since the Great Recession, most of the nation's smaller urban and rural counties are not growing and will not grow. with microloans giving the freedom for people to create any business they want, then opening up a restaurant, barbershop, or movie theater with little to no competition in a small town, city or town, will also grow as a result. In the cities with dense populations, there is too much competition, which can lead to businesses failing faster. As a result of helping the town grow, fulfillment will be set into motion as these people will feel generosity for giving back to help. Will feel generosity for giving back to help the town grow. Also, relationships will be developed from the people who live there on the appreciation on helping the town thrive again. In the end, happiness from economic means will result. The last thing needed to be taught with microloans is student debt from college when it comes to the last thing needed to be taught with microloans is student debt from college. When it comes to student debt, it can make people very stressed. I argue that student debt can be reduced. Where I live is Southern Oregon. There is a 2-year community college. Where I live is Southern Oregon. There is a 2-year community college, a 4-year university, and high schools around the area that offer the same classes to students. Now, the only difference between these classes from the teachers I asked from all 3 schools around the area are the expectations. The colleges can cover more material than high schools and demand more from tests and papers without much leeway. High schools have a lot of leeway to them. Plus, teachers at high schools have a master's of arts in teaching, while the teachers that teach freshman and sophomore classes in college must have a master's degree in their subject area, like math, English, chemistry, etc. Let me explain in more detail. As I explained before, I went to Grants Pass High School, Road Community College, a 2-year college, and Southern Oregon University, a 4-year college. In order to get a AAOT, or an Associates of Arts Oregon Transfer degree from RCC, a student has to take 90 credits. In order to get a bachelor's degree from SOU, a student has to take 180 credits. This means a freshman in an Oregon college is considered, this means a freshman at an Oregon college is considered, 0 to 45 credits completed. A sophomore is considered 46 to 90 credits completed. A junior is considered 91 to 135 credits completed, and a senior is considered 136 to 180 credits completed. Lastly, 60 to 70 credits within the bachelor's degree are needed to pass core or a subject area of specialization like chemistry, biology, physics, math, sociology, psychology, music, drama, etc. This means when a student is handed their diploma at graduation, then the diploma will read bachelor's degree in psychology or in any of the subjects mentioned above. Now, this person can use this new degree to get a job in their subject area as a lifelong career. This is the purpose of college. How does this save students money? Well, when I was at RCC, I received my AAOT, and I was allowed to transfer, get this, 120 credits. This means I was allowed to use the cheaper classes at RCC and put all of it towards the 180 credits needed for a bachelor's degree at the more expensive university at SOU. Also, when I started at SOU, I had to take 12 credits of junior level general classes. So dumb. When RCC is all general classes. So dumb. All the credits added up so far in this paragraph is 132 credits, and a student is considered a senior in college when they complete 135 credits. What does this all mean? All 132 credits added up in the last paragraph are all general education classes that can be taken in high school. The AAOT degree is a general education degree. This means I took and paid for 3 years of general education classes that I could have taken in high school with stronger expectations and less leeway given to students in high school. I could have saved so much money if these classes were offered in high school instead of college. It's such a waste. When I received my second bachelor's degree from SOU, I didn't have to take any generalized education classes. All I had to do was focus on the 60 credits needed for that area of specialization. I did the same thing with my master's degree at SOU. No general classes. I didn't need to take any generalized classes. I just focused on the credits needed to get my degree. When I pursued my PhD at a different university, I was just allowed to focus on the specialization of that degree without any generalized education classes. So dumb. Put different tiers in high school. And they're generalized classes are gone. Just our house, just keep it in high school. Shocking, I know. Because high school is divided into special education, regular education, and gifted education. 3 tiers right there. Wow, shocking. If a person wanted, like a regular student or a special education student, wanted to go to college, go to the gifted classes, take the college high expectations, and they should be erased, and then you can specialize in your college degree without generalized education classes. So dumb. So dumb. Oh, just... Oh, so dumb. I'm $300,000 in debt from all my college classes. All of it, just so dumb. Anyways, sorry, I'm ranting. The whole point of college is to be trained and specialize in an area of focus and then use that training to get a job or career in the real world. Yes, there are some degrees that do specialize with some general education classes at college, like fire science, being a mechanic, paramedic, etc. These degrees are 1 to 2 year degrees. These degrees are not bachelor's degrees. They don't have to take 3 years of general education classes before they can start to specialize in their field. What do? I argue that all the general education courses from colleges need to go back to the high school level. First, I would make a hybrid degree for teachers that combine the Master's of Arts in Teaching with the master's degree in their subject area. This will make the teacher qualified to teach these classes without controversy from the state requirements. Next, I would cover the same material as the colleges would. If this is the case, then students can stay in high school for a year or two to finish the material necessary to move on to college as a junior, all for free. Plus, students will be able to get as many chances to fail a test in order to pass it instead of make it or break it tests given by colleges today. Failure is good. Also, individual education will help the subject standards in helping the students pass the classes and retain the information with their IP. Lastly, adults can use the high school campus for night classes because most high schools close at night without any use. The high school will be used throughout the night if need be to accommodate students. In this way, dollars can be saved by pouring money into one campus like a high school instead of many college campuses. This will help in equipment costs, maintenance of the building over time, and students can save money by living with their parents instead of paying expensive classes that they have to take again and living on campus. The last argument for student debt is to get rid of the master's degree classes if necessary. When I went to graduate school, the graduate classes and the senior classes in college were combined together and taught by the same teacher. Now, in these classes, the same material was covered by both parties. The only difference was that the graduate students had to write an extra paper. The only difference was the graduate students had to write an extra paper or take one more test. On most occasions, this is just so frustrating, I didn't have to do any of that. In other words, I was paying twice as much for the same class as though I was a senior in college, but I was labeled a graduate student. I mean, come on. I just did everything that the seniors in college did in that same class, and I was a graduate. It's almost like a money scam. Anyways, sorry. I thought it was a waste of time and money on my part as a graduate student for doing the same thing as an undergraduate student. Now, to be fair, there are programs that specialize for a master's degree, but these degrees help this person focus on going to the doctoral degree. What I argue is for programs to split the doctorate program into two. Lots of students I have interviewed over the years would just like to go through the program of a doctorate degree by just doing the classes instead of doing the dissertation. This is what I did. I just did classes and I didn't want to do the dissertation because, I don't know, I thought it was a waste of time. This is what I wrote the book for. Yay, my dissertation. It was just too small of an area of research. I wanted to cover, everything. And you can't do that in a PhD. The original research can be long, arduous, and expensive in getting volunteers depending on the subject area. And that was mine. I would have to get volunteers, pay them. I didn't have the money to pay them. Good times. Plus, if the research and the dissertations is not consistent, then extensions have to be given out, and sometimes life gets in the way. I applaud those students that finish their degree. It takes a lot of patience to complete it. Anyway, students will still take the qualifying exam to get their degree and take the comprehensive exam to complete their dissertation. In this way, students save money on not being asked to pay for expensive undergraduate classes and specialize in doctorate classes needed for understanding the entirety of the subject area. This is what education should be. In the end, students become happier in understanding the material they want to study and save money as well without unwanted costs or expense on further research they do not want to do for the dissertation. Now let's talk about the final established idea to help the middle class and the poor class compete in the new global market. It is God infrastructure. When the infrastructure spending happened during the 1945 to 1973, as stated earlier, there was a global need to help citizens of the world to rebuild their countries after World War II. After the infrastructure was done, building up all the countries with roads, hospitals, schools, then the need for spending stopped, and then people had to find other forms of work. As a result, this golden age stopped. With the God infrastructure, spending can start again because the need of where we come from and why we are here is embedded in all of us, humans. The demand is great, so the need to do this will happen. The only problem is that the U.S. still has to keep inflation in check by keeping a balance on spending. In other words, this is a long-term project because there are a lot of things science doesn't know about the universe yet. Humans might have to become a type 4 civilization to find God, and this is 1 million years in the future or more. excuse me. This means that the golden age of spending that our grandparents and great-grandparents enjoyed will be again one of the dominant projects ever in the history of mankind. This type of spending will not stop as before because this project will be ongoing for generations to countless generations to come. In time and with a lot of research, we as a species could be able to find God through the God infrastructure program. I mean, if it exists. As I explained before, the BBO, the Big Bang Observer, can be built with our technology of today. As a species, we could see the beginning of the universe or the Big Bang singularity, or from a religious perspective, God or heaven. This is Genesis. The only problem with this is that this event happened 13.78 billion years ago. When we actually look upon this event, sirens, not edited. This is Genesis. The only problem with this is that this event happened 13.78 billion years ago. When we actually look upon this event, we will be looking at it in the past. Now, for us humans to contend with the present, there are 3 solutions in order to find God. The solutions are finding the X that marks the spot, going to the X with some sort of propulsion, or create a baby universe or baby Big Bang in a laboratory. In all 3 scenarios, the God infrastructure would continue, but more is needed in science research to understand all 3 fully. Scientists do not know where X marks the spot and where the Big Bang took place. The observable universe in which scientists can observe and measure, and it is 93 billion light years in diameter. The observable universe is far beyond the observable universe. The light from the unobservable universe has not yet reached Earth yet, so scientists do not know what is out there. It's pretty much the same. I mean, we see the observable universe, then the observable universe is just more universe. It's, more galaxies, more black holes, more stars. It just keeps expanding. When scientists look at the universe, they know that the universe has no observable center, or observable edge, or an observable shape. The Big Bang happened everywhere simultaneously, and it is still expanding today. It was an explosion of space where there was no space to begin with. The universe is like a loaf of raisin bread. This is really good. This is so good at explaining the universe. The universe is like a loaf of raisin bread rising in the oven. Each raisin represents a cluster of galaxies in the dough space. Now the raisins don't move through the dough. Now as the bread bakes and rises, then all the raisins get further apart from each other because the dough itself expands, just like the universe. Now each raisin stays the same size, and this means the galaxy clusters, or just galaxies, aren't expanding, and neither are individual galaxies, or the Earth, or people, or trees. It is the relativity of empty space between those large clusters of galaxies that are expanding. That means space is expanding and everything else like us are staying the same. Not only does the dough expand, it can also expand at different rates during the different stages of the baking process, from very fast to very slow, or faster than speed of light in the universe's case. Now, if a person lived on a raisin, they would feel like they were at the center of the universe, and everything expanding away from this person. If this person hopped to another raisin, they would also experience being at the center of the universe, with everything expanding away from this person. What this means is that every raisin, or every position in the universe, is the center of the universe, with everything expanding away from everything else. Plus, there have been many observations, like the observations from the largest galaxy survey scientists have done, called the Sloan's Digital Sky Survey. It recorded the distribution, motion, and position of 1 million galaxies. With all this evidence, it supports that there is no center of the universe on where the Big Bang singularity happened. In the end, there is no center of the universe, or X marking the spot, to find where the Big Bang came from. Now, if the universe had an observable edge, an observable shape, then maybe humans could find the X marking the spot. Our technology is limited to observe this. Until that day comes, the general observation is that there is no center. What this proves is that there is still a lot of information scientists do not know about the universe, and heavy research is still needed to find the X that marks the spot and where the Big Bang singularity happened. When humans find the X, then they will find God's address and where heaven might be. Okay, this is the end of part 2 of economic equality. Ich ni sun shi go. Kuju. It's just a very long chapter. La lune, oui, oui. Hola, buenos dias, adios. We all win together. De nada.